Hey everybody, welcome to Board Game Heaven. My name is Raymond, and in this video I'm taking a look at Dirt and Glory by Petr Wojtek, published by Pink Troubadour. This is a press your luck card game for 2 to 5 players, which plays in about half an hour for ages 8 and up. And before I start explaining the rules and share my thoughts on the game, I'd like to ask you to please hit that subscribe button if you haven't subscribed already. It really helps the channel. And if you'd like to support what I do, I also have a Patreon page. The link is in the description below, and you can support me for as little as just €1 per month, less than a cup of coffee, and in return you get early access to all of my videos, your name in the credits, and access to Patreon exclusive videos, plus you save up for the exclusive Board Game Heaven enamel pin. With that out of the way, let's set up a game. To set up a game of Dirt and Glory, each player picks one of these 5 starting decks. They all have their own colors, and they all have 7 cards with values 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All the other troop cards are shuffled into one large deck. Give every player a player aid card and one of these score tracking cards with a score tracking token that you can use to keep track of your score. And these are double-sided, so if you pass the 14, you flip it over and you start at 15. Every player then draws 3 cards from the troop deck and picks 2 to keep and places the one they don't need at the bottom of the troop deck. And you put these 2 in your own starting troop deck, and you give that a good shuffle, and you place that face down in front of you. Every player also takes 1 fuel token, and once every player has done so, then you set up the location deck, which is these cards. And there are 3 cards with 1 cog, there are 3 cards with 2 cogs, and 3 cards with 3 cogs. You randomly pick one of those cards to return to the box, so give those a shuffle and then just pick one from each deck to return to the box. And then you stack those with the 1, 2, and 3 cogs in that order on top of each other, and you flip the top one over. And then, depending on the number of players, you put out a number of cards from the troop deck. So in a 3-player game, you would open up 3 cards that are available to all players. That's the whole setup. Let's explain the rules. In Dirt and Glory, players have a number of vehicles, and they're trying to get as close to the next location card as they can by playing cards which have certain values that add up as close to this number, this target number, as they can. And the person who gets the closest will get a number of victory points, as indicated here by these droplets. So the first player will get 3, the second closest get 2, and the third closest get 1 victory point plus a fuel token. And if you overrun, which is when you play more value than this, you overrun and you're basically out of that round, but you get 2 fuel tokens. So at the start of the game, you've gotten your 2 extra cards from the troop deck added to your starting hand. You shuffle that, and then you draw 2 cards. So you do that at the start of each new round, and then you decide which of these cards you're going to play towards the goal and which card is going to your reserve. So let's say we keep this card, which has a value of 4, and this goes into my reserve. I will play that 90 degrees next to my draw deck. And cards in your reserve are basically not easily accessible, but there are ways to use them instead of the cards in your deck. Now, in each subsequent turn, you may perform one of 2 actions. You can either play a card from the top of your own troop deck into your caravan, or you pass. Now, if you play a card, you simply draw the top card from your deck and you play it into your caravan, and you put them on top of each other like this, announcing your total value. So right now I have a 4, I played a 3, so my value is 7. If I play a card with an ability on it, so let's just have a quick look here. I had 2 cards, so like this one here, that I drew from the troop deck. If I play this card and I play it to my caravan, it'll have a ability. So some of these cards, and you will get more of these. This one has a value of 1 and it says switch me with a card from your reserve. Now these abilities are not mandatory. I can choose to do that if I want to. So let me make a bit of room here. So this is my caravan, and yeah, let's do that. I'm at 7 and this is value 2. This is only 1. And you know what's in your deck. I still have a 5 in there. I got 2 cards from the beginning and I still have a 1 and a 2 in there. So I might hope for another 2, or well, there's gonna be a 5. And I don't want that because with a 5 I will overshoot. But if I manage to get the 2 2s in here, then I might actually reach the exact value there. So let's just, for this example, do what the card says and swap this out. If I do overrun, so I draw a card that has a higher value and I overshoot, then I immediately end my turn. And that means I have to pass. So that's the other option you can do. Instead of playing a card, you can also pass. So if you think, well, I might not have as good odds as I think, so I'm just gonna stop here with my value of 9 and hope I get the closest, I can pass. And again, same thing happens. If you overshoot, you automatically pass. And when that happens, you choose one of the open cards next to the troop deck and you put that on the bottom of your draw deck. So a couple of examples here. We have this card here, which has a value of 3, and it says, look at your top card, put it back, and you may pass immediately. So this gives you a little bit of foresight. This card does nothing special, but it has 2 values, so I can play it as a 2 or a 4, which is pretty great. And this one has a high value of 5 and says switch me with the lowest value card in your reserve. So you could either play it as the 5 or check your reserve if this is too high and check the lowest card in your reserve, and that might give you better odds. So these are all pretty good cards. So if I did pass or overshoot, my turn ends, I pick one of these cards. Let's say I pick this one, put that at the bottom of my draw deck, and that ends my turn. And I don't get to participate in the rest of the round anymore. Now on my turn, I can also use fuel tokens. There's 2 ways to use them as indicated on this card here. So let me just read that here for you. You can either discard 1 fuel token to let you discard the card you just played into your reserve, unless you have already overrun. So if you have played this and that overran, I can't discard my fuel token to put it in my reserve. I've overrun, that's it. I can't use the fuel token. But if I'm still under that number, I could, you know, just out of precaution, discard a card for the cost of 1 fuel. Or I can spend 4 fuel tokens if I have them. So instead of a regular turn, add a card from your reserve. So that's how you use your reserve cards. You could either, instead of playing a card here, you could play a card from here to your caravan. And like you saw earlier, some of these troop cards have abilities that also let you interact with your reserve. And at the beginning of each of the 6 rounds that are played in this game, you place one of your cards into reserve. You always draw 2 at the start of the round, play 1, and play 1 in the reserve. So during the game, your reserve may grow, and if I want to retrieve the cards from my reserve back into my deck, then at the beginning of each round, before drawing any cards, I may take all the cards from my reserve and shuffle them back into my deck. And then I draw 2 cards and again move 1 to the reserve and 1 into my caravan. And you might want to do this if your reserve contains valuable cards or cards with useful abilities, or if there's simply a lot of cards there. So then after a number of turns, once all players have either passed because they're close to the number or at the number, or overrun and passed that way, you check out who has the most points, who is the closest, and you divide the points accordingly. So if we hadn't played this card and passed here at 9, maybe somebody else got 11 and then somebody else got 8, then I would be the second closest player and I would get 2 victory points, which I mark on my victory score tracker. And if you overran, you get 2 fuel tokens. Now, should there be a tie in the numbers of values you played and 2 players are at an equal distance, then the player with the fewer cards in their caravan wins the points, and the other player gets the next score. And if there's still a tie because you have an equal number of cards in your caravan, then those tied players draw the top card from their deck, and the player with the lower number from the draw wins. If that is a tie again, you just draw another card until one of the player wins. So after scoring that location, that card is returned to the box and the next card is flipped over. And at the end of the round, of course, every player, in this case a 3-player game, will have at some point passed and taken one of these cards. So all of these cards are gone. Every player has one. So at the start, you reveal 3 new cards. You've got your new location and the gameplay begins again. And you play for 6 rounds, and of course for the 6th round you don't need to put out new cards because there won't be a 7th round, so you won't need any new cards. And like I said earlier, this is when you get to choose if you want to take all of your reserve cards and shuffle them back into your draw deck, and of course all your play cards are also shuffled back in. The player who won the most points in the last round becomes the first player for this next round. And at the end of the game, after the 6th round, you also score points for every 2 remaining fuel tokens that you still have. You get 1 additional victory point. And of course, the player with the most victory points at the end of the game wins. And those are all the rules for playing Dirt and Glory. Let's go to my final thoughts. So my final thoughts on Dirt and Glory by Petr Wojtek, published by Pink Troubadour. Let's start with the components. I like that it comes in a nice compact box. It's not bigger than it needs to be. You get a whole bunch of cards and they are of a very thick, nice quality. They have a very glossy finish though, not a linen finish, though they do reflect a bit, but they look very nice. You get a bunch of tokens of the standard token quality. It's pretty good. And you get a small rule book and your points card, your tracking token and everything. So all of that is pretty good. The artwork is excellent. I love the artwork. I love the 80s retro vibe with all the very, very bright colors it has. And I mean, the box itself already kind of tells you that. And the cards as well all have this very bright, very cool looking post-apocalyptic kind of art. It's like Mad Max meets 80s aesthetics with the bright colors and neon colors. So that looks really cool. I really, really dig the artwork on all of these cards. The theme is all right. It's pretty fun. You need to reach a certain number. It's kind of like playing 21 where you don't want to overshoot, except you have different values and they get higher every time and you're trying to get as close to that as possible. Of course, you're starting with just a standard deck, which also comes in different colors, which I like, with just the 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, and 5 values. So the lower values, you know, will be easier to reach. And of course, once after every turn, you pick one of the 3 available cards that you can pick after you pass. You add that to your deck. So in effect, you're building your armada of cards, your caravan, your cars, your vehicles, and you're sending your troops out to reach that destination before anybody else does. And you want to get there as close as possible because you want to get the most resources. The person who gets there the closest takes away the most points. And then the second one gets the next number of points. And if you overshoot, you don't get any victory points, but you do get fuel. So that's can be good as well, because you can use fuel to get cards from your reserve to manipulate your caravan later on. It's of course better to just play the right cards, but thematically it kind of works. You know, it's kind of like Mad Max and you're trying to reach a destination, get valuable resources and be the closest there. So I guess that works kind of nicely, ties in well with the gameplay, I think. And the gameplay itself is super cool. It's basically pressing your luck. You're getting cards after every round that you add to your deck. You pick 2 at the start of the game to add to your deck, and then you play and you choose 2 cards and you put 1 in the reserve and 1 in your caravan. So you can already kind of manipulate what's going on there, and the rest is just, you know, pressing your luck. See if you can play another card. Do I know what's in my deck? You need to remember the cards and the values that are in your deck. And sometimes you'll get a card that has like a double value, so you can swap it around. I really like those. You can either have it, this one for example, as a 1 or as a 5, and that is a game changer. And some of them has these really cool abilities that let you swap out cards with your reserve. So if you have a lot of cards in your reserve, you can pick the best one and maybe just make it exactly to the value you need to reach. And well, there's a lot of cool things that you can do, and it just works really well. So I really like that aspect of the game. There are some really cool cards in here that do really cool things to really change it up. And you just need to play cleverly and remember which cards you selected and what they do and what their values are. So there's a pretty big memory aspect to this game. But yeah, it's pretty relatively light. It's pretty quick. So it's not too difficult in the end. And you only play 6 rounds, so it's a pretty fast game. It plays 2 to 5 players, so, you know, in a maximum number of players, of 5 players might take half an hour maximum. But usually, you know, this is like a 20-minute game, and if it's a 2-player game, it's even faster. So I think it's pretty fun. Replayability is also pretty good because it's over quickly. You sometimes just want to play another game, and it's a good filler game. And because there's plenty of cards, and you know your locations may change, so there's 3 of each, so there's 9 different locations with different values you can try and reach, so that's going to be different. It's not a whole lot of difference that way in the gameplay, but it doesn't really matter for this type of game. It's just a quick push your luck game with a memory aspect, cleverly playing your cards, and the fact that it has so many cards with different abilities and these 9 different locations, and you only play 6 every time. You know, that's a minor change up for every game, so you won't play the same game twice. But overall, I think the replayability is pretty good. It's pretty okay. Then finally, the language dependency. Well, there is text on a lot of these troop cards. So there is a language dependency here. So you do need to understand, of course, the English language to be able to play all of these cards. There's not a lot of text, but it is there. So you do need to take that into consideration. In the end, a pretty fun, fast filler push your luck game that I quite enjoyed, with really cool art and aesthetics. Giving this a thumbs up. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please also give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and please also check out my Patreon page if you'd like to support what I do, which you can do starting at just €1 per month or more, which is greatly appreciated. You can click the link in the description below or the icon at the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time on Board Game Heaven.